Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to go ahead and let folks come in from that waiting room as we get started here today. We are just about to get started. Thank you so much for being here. We do have one panelist who has been having a couple of technical difficulties, and I did just see her disappear. Sierra, are you still hearing us?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. I can hear.
We might not see you for this session, but we will make sure that we make the space for you. Your video disappeared right as we went live. But we're very excited to have your perspective here. We have folks coming in from that waiting room right now, and we will go ahead and get started very shortly. I'm just going to allow for those folks to just come in from that waiting room. And oh, I am seeing Sierra potentially coming back. And if that's the case, I will go ahead and get her on screen. But in the meantime, I will go ahead and get us started. Hi, everybody. My name is Brinton Botkin. I am here with you from Handshake. I work on our student marketing team, and I am so excited to be here today with some fabulous folks from Mastercard for Mastercard's tips for making the most of your internship this summer. Just for some quick housekeeping notes before we go ahead and get started today, we will have a structured discussion for a short time, and then we will save a little bit of time for a Q&A at the end of the session. So please feel free to go ahead and add questions to the Q&A box throughout the session, and we will make as much time to get to those as we can at the end. Um, don't be worried if you don't see anybody else's questions coming in. We are not ignoring you. We have it set so that you only see questions as we mark them resolved. So please don't think that we are ignoring your questions as we are going today. And with that, oh, we have Sierra. I'm adding a pin. There we go. Great. We've got a quorum here. That is so exciting. Perfect timing. Awesome. And with that, I would love to kind of introduce our panel here. We really want to focus today on making the most of your summer internship. Obviously, May is a very exciting time, wrapping up classes, finishing up those finals, potentially heading into your summer plans. And so we have a fabulous collection of folks here from former interns and a recruiter who are going to share some tips for standing out in your internship, building lasting connections, and setting yourself up for awesome future opportunities. So whether you're aiming for that return offer or you just want to leave a strong impression after your internship, today you will walk away with some actionable tips to level up that experience. I would love to introduce our panel here. I'm going to go in the order of what I'm seeing on my screen, and I will start with Ivan. Ivan is a software engineer at Mastercard, where he's responsible for developing and maintaining software solutions that enhance the user experience and streamline operations at Mastercard. Prior to joining Mastercard full-time, Ivan completed 2 software engineering internships and conducted research at Brookhaven National Lab. Passionate about helping students create value and land their dream jobs, Ivan is actively working with WashU since graduating. And thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you would want to add to your intro?
That's perfect. Thank you for having me here. And also,
Awesome.
I want to say to everybody that's here, congratulations on showing up.
Yep.
A lot of you probably already have an internship locked in and waiting to know like how you can get the most of it. And even if you're still searching for internship, the fact that you're on this handshake event means you're already networking, you're preparing ahead. So great work.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't agree with you enough. Thank you so much. Awesome. Next in order of my screen, I have Stephanie Fritz, who is a manager of early career talent acquisition at Mastercard. She specializes in early career recruitment, hiring strategies, and leading the global internship program at Mastercard. Stephanie is passionate about building talent pipelines and driving intern to full-time conversion, which I know is a topic that a lot of you will be very interested to hear about as we chat today. A New Jersey native, holds a bachelor's in HR from Rutgers, and enjoys traveling, matcha, and exploring new cuisines, which I feel, Stephanie, we should hang out because we have a lot of the same interests. Anything
I
you would
love
want
it. Yeah,
to
no, I'm super excited to share my insight as a campus recruiter. So hopefully everyone is prepared to ask away.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Awesome. And that leaves Sierra. Sierra Daly is an associate consultant at Mastercard in Purchase, New York. She's worked with clients across a range of industries, including retail, financial services, hospitality. And prior to joining Mastercard, attended Dartmouth College, graduated in 2023 with a degree in quantitative social science, which I'm very interested to hear more about. And outside of work, Sierra loves to swim, explore new coffee shops around New York City, and spend time with friends. Do you have a favorite coffee shop in New York City, Sierra? I have to ask.
A favorite. There's a flower, I don't even know the name of it. I think it's called Remy. There's a flower coffee shop near my apartment. And I love that because I get the ambiance of the flowers and my tasty coffee. So
Wow, that's a strong combination. Well, thank you all so much in advance for being here. We do have about 30 minutes of our structured panel discussion here, and I would love to start us off with the topic of starting. As folks are thinking about navigating their internship, they really want to make that strong impression and get off to a strong start. So Sierra, I'm actually going to toss it over to you. I would love to hear really what helped you hit the ground running during your internship at Mastercard. And is there anything that you would go back to tell yourself to hype yourself up before your first day?
yeah, thanks. Coming into my internship, I think I was very excited. I had this idea of what my internship was going to be. And I think quickly I realized that I had no idea what my internship was going to be months before it, and that I was really just there to learn as much as I could, to take in as much as I could. And I think once you shift that mindset and you really just become a sponge, you really can start to get the most of the internship. Um, I learned a lot about, especially at Mastercard, like the company in general. Like there are so many more parts of the company than I ever could have imagined, and like learning about that, learning about even just how teams interact with each other, like everything was so new, and being open to that newness really allowed me to take advantage. So I think if I had to go back, I would tell myself that it's just like be really open, be willing to learn, and raise your hand. I raised my hand for a few things that were a little bit outside of my comfort zone, a little bit new. I was originally staffed on a few projects and I just joined a few more. I didn't really know what they were about, but I wanted to try it. And that led me to some really good opportunities, helped me meet some new people. So yeah, raise your hand and be willing to try some things that maybe you weren't planning on doing.
I love that. I think that's such an important note throughout your early career, not only through internships, but just a willingness to adapt and learn and demonstrate that capability. You know, as an intern, nobody's expecting you to come in as a fully formed, functioning professional yet. That's the point of an internship program, to help you learn and raise your hand for those opportunities. So, really great advice, Sierra. Thank you. Ivan, as another former intern turned full-time Mastercard hire, I would love to hear a little bit about relationship building. How did you approach building relationships early on as you were starting your internship? And did you focus mostly on your tech cohort, or were you thinking about kind of cross-functional networking? How did that work out for you?
So I'll start one by one. First, like start how I started like networking here. I think there's two key message for me. One is learn your company's culture first. And the second is your recruiter can be your shortcut to meet many great people. And so first of all, learn the culture. Was like my story of my first software internship. Like I don't know what to expect, just like Sarah was mentioning earlier. And I was really nervous before I came into the office the first day. I woke up at like 4 a.m., can't sleep, and like I got into office super early because I really had nothing to do. But when I got there, like 6 a.m., there's already Mastercard volunteers standing at the gate waiting for us to like welcome us and show us where to go. And our campus recruiting team hosted events to calm our nerves, like play games, learn about Mastercard better, provided us opportunities to meet with some managers, some executives. And right away, it's a great networking opportunity already. But also at the same time, like they showed us the Mastercard culture that they want to empower people. They genuinely want to mentor and they want to help us learn to be better. So like knowing that right away gave me the courage to ask what I thought at the time, like dumb questions. And again, like I'm just feel like a lot more reassured after like going through all of those. And the second point that I was talking about is your recruiter. So don't forget the first person you met from your company when you're networking. Your recruiter is often the best matchmaker. They like, I don't know, they have met so many people throughout this process, interviewed so many people, so a lot of people they like helped get into Mastercard, get into your company. And through all those years, and they might know a great connection just specifically for you, which really helps this experience. And last point that you were asking, I think because I not only like I did software engineering, so I like stayed in the tech world, but I also like branched out to talk to all kinds of people from product, sales team to ask questions because like my recruiter will give me a connection and then the connection will point me to the next connection. And so this way I can learn more about our product and learn what I actually really want to do in the end.
I love that. And I love your take on recruiters being kind of the best matchmakers, the best networking matchmakers within an organization. Stephanie, that makes me think of you. Obviously, you have recruited a ton of interns. You run the global internship program. I would love to hear from you about what recruiters and managers are looking for in that first few weeks, things that they're noticing as interns are getting their start.
For sure. I think one of the most important things to starting off strong is truly being present and engaged, right? It may sound simple, but that really could make that big difference in just being genuinely curious. So, as Sierra had referenced, being open, being able to raise your hand for certain things. And then, Ivan's point about asking that silly question, it may not sound silly. I'm pretty sure and certain that interns, within the cohort are probably thinking the exact same thing. So again, just really being present and engaged, this really indicates to a recruiter or even a manager that you're very invested in this, that you're genuinely curious and you want to be here. I think another important topic would be really when it comes to AI, this is integrated into our work. So it's really important to think about critical thinking skills and just really keeping that in mind in the forefront in what you do. So, important to focus on how you use the tool, asking the right questions, being really inquisitive. So those are kind of things that really stick out when it comes to having a strong start as part of, an internship program.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are there any tips that you would give for those incoming interns to really set themselves apart, both kind of right at the start of their internship, but also over the course of their entire internship program? It sounds like being willing to raise your hand, being inquisitive and curious, and being a sponge, like Sierra mentioned. Any other tips that you would give?
I would say being proactive, right? Thinking about the big picture when it comes to what you want to do. Oftentimes here at Mastercard, we host these types of kickoff calls to make sure that you are set up for success. You know what to expect. So, really doing your research and making sure that you develop a plan to be proactive, to ask for help when you need to, and having that open line of communication is really helpful. So, ultimately, being proactive is really going to set yourself up for success in the long run.
Awesome. And I have seen some questions come in around that proactivity that we can spend some time on when we get to the Q&A section, but I think that's a really great piece of advice, both as an intern, but also throughout your entire early career. So thank you. And, I'd love to phase us into, we've talked about getting started and making that really strong start as an intern who's getting started this summer. And I'd love to spend some time talking about really standing out over the course of your internship and earning opportunities to grow yourself as a professional, to potentially grow within an organization. Sierra, I'd love to toss it back over to you. Do you have a moment from your internships with Mastercard that you really felt like you went above and beyond, maybe potentially influenced your ability to receive a return offer? Anything that you would highlight for us?
Yeah. Something that I did during my internships, specifically during my first one, I interned twice. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but so originally for my internship, at least everyone was put on 2 projects. And again, you're an intern, you're not expected to change the fate of that project or anything, but it's a good learning opportunity to see a few different types of work streams, like how they work. And one of mine was a little bit slow, and so I just reached out to see if there's anything else I could join as a third. And the project that I wound up joining as a third was a great opportunity. I met a lot of people on that team that I really got along with and that I had a lot to learn from, and they are still mentors that I speak to today. Some of them work at Mastercard still, some of them do not, and they're just still people that I have as connections that really have helped me in my career since then. So that was like one thing. Kind of echoes those themes that we've been talking about before. Be curious, try to learn as much as you can, and like be proactive. There was no expectation to join a third project. Doing two was totally fine. But I just wanted to see if there was anything else out there that I could learn from, since my one was a little bit slower. And then I guess even like separately from the actual work itself, something that I did during my internship was they have like a little intern skit that they let you put together at the end of the internship. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's a fun way to show some personality at the end of the internship and just wrap the summer. And I took lead on that. And again, it was kind of a silly thing, but we interviewed all of the people in the office about ourselves, the interns. And so I got to meet a lot of people that way too. And it's something silly. And yeah, maybe it's like an extra thing on your to-do list, but it was really fun. Got to meet a lot of people. And I think it just helps you stand out as a team player, as someone who's really here to learn a lot and just to have a good time.
I love that. I definitely would highlight that it demonstrates to folks within an organization when you put yourself out there for those opportunities. There are some interns from this past summer at Handshake who stood out to me because they raised their hand to me to capture video content throughout the course of their internship, because they knew that I was looking for student perspectives of their summer internships. And even though they were focused on software engineering or machine learning, the fact that they wanted to kind of try their hand at something new and kind of develop a different skill over the course of their internship really helped them stand out to me. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those previous interns. So I think that's a great thing to highlight, Sierra. Ivan, I would love to hear from you about really seeking feedback over the course of your internship. How did you demonstrate growth and solicit that feedback when you were an intern at Mastercard?
I mean, like asking for feedback is scary for me at first, at least, and for a lot of people, I think. But I think I did both through one thing, like both asking for feedback and demonstrating growth is something that I can't echo enough from Stephanie and Sarah, is asking questions. But you have to ask those questions in a systematic way. And can't have all the credits. I learned this from YouTube of how to be a great intern as well. So first, when it comes to feedback, during my internship, I kept a list and will send this to my manager and my lead before like our one-on-one sessions. And the list include bullet points on what I shipped, what I've learned, and what I'm stuck on, how am I planning to resolve those blocks. And those were sent to them ahead of the time. And during our one-on-one, I would ask, how can I do a certain thing better? Or like, how can you help me to resolve a problem I met? How can I learn more on this topic? I mean, it is hard to ask for feedback, but when you think from the other person's point of view, from your manager and your lead's point of view, it is even harder to give feedback and provide those details of what you did, what you've learned, and what you're facing. That's only you know, will give them the essential details to help your team to recognize you and to guide you better. And asking questions at the same time also helped me to show growth to my team. Because like Stephanie and Sarah said, like just it stand out in the first place. And at first I was asking questions like, oh, what does this acronym mean? What does this product do? And then later on, at the end of my internship, I can started asking questions that's related to product design and providing my ideas of why I think this is good, because I've learned this product since I asked all those questions along the way.
Thank you so much. I love asking questions as a strength and constantly soliciting that feedback and being really proactive there. I think we're hearing a lot of themes from all of your answers. And were there any particular projects that you worked on that you would want to spotlight that you really feel like contributed to helping you earn that full-time spot?
So we actually made a pretty big impact. So in our department, uh, instead of only like working on the product that we were putting into like within our teams, all of the intern within our department, about 11 of us, were put into a group, and we were like developing a small product that would help automating visualization testing tool. And during this 10 weeks, we were, it's a lightweight project. It's not that hard, but for interns, it's challenging. And although none of us were expert, but we continuously asking why, who cares, who is our customer, how can this product help them? And those questions kept us focused. And in the end of the summer session, we demoed it to the executive team. And today, like this is 2, 3 years ago, and today, the tool is still used in that department and help other people. So like when my return offer like comes, my manager could literally point to the live URL and say, "Hey, this is Ivan's work. They made it, and it's still running there, and it's a concrete impact, and it's visible and just easy decision at the end when you like provide value."
I love that. Thank you. And Stephanie, we've gotten kind of the former intern perspective here, and I would love to get your perspective on, what factors typically influence return offers or future opportunities within an organization. And if you have, I saw a couple of questions come in about, if you have any advice for navigating a conversation about wanting to secure a return offer. Would love to just open that up for you.
Yeah, so there's a variety of factors that come into play when it comes to return offers, such as skills, culture fit, business needs, but ultimately it comes down to performance. And I think Ivan did such a great job of kind of mapping out what worked well for him, especially for those that may see these types of conversations as quite daunting, right? So being able to prep in advance, like a strategy or kind of like a talking points to really map out what you've accomplished, what you're hoping to achieve, what are some of the areas of development. This will really help ease the conversation between you and the manager or whoever is going to be assessing you. I also recommend using check-ins with your manager as a time and place to ask those types of questions, to really probe and seeing what else can I work on? What other opportunities are there for me to look into? These are really great ways to open that line of communication and really being very candid about what your goals are. And I think another aspect of this is also looping in your recruiter. As a recruiter, I think, the best type of help I can offer is the ones that come to me and letting them know about their needs and really hearing what they're interested in, because we can help navigate those types of interests and get you to the right audience in hopes of a return offer in the area that you're interested in.
I love that. And I think that, one of the things that in Ivan's answers and your answers has been really clear is recruiters are a great resource beyond just the act of kind of getting in the door. They're so knowledgeable about an organization, about opportunities within an organization. So for everybody here, don't sleep on recruiters. I have to say that's a really fantastic connection to maintain and to continue to build. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, before we transition over into our Q&A, I want to spend a little bit more time on kind of leaving that lasting impression at the end of your internship. Sierra, how did you mentioned that you made some connections that you're still in touch with today. You secured some mentors during your first internship. How did you maintain and leverage those connections from your first internship as you've grown your career at Mastercard? And, was the consulting program there good for your professional networking overall?
Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned, built a lot of connections through these projects, and even there, just like when you're on a project or when you're working with people, having those periodic check-ins, being very honest with them about your goals, asking questions, asking for feedback, all sets you up to form really strong professional connections with your teammates. So after that, though, how do you maintain them? As an intern, I'd always recommend at the end of the summer, thanking your teammates for the support, for the learnings along the way. I've had interns write me thank you notes, and like it's really meaningful, and they definitely stick out as a nice token of appreciation. And then what I did is when I came back from my return internship, I reached back out to those people that I had connected with in my previous internship and just let them know, hey, I'm back, like would love to grab a coffee, would love to chat virtually or in person. And in my second internship, that actually helped me secure an additional project to work on. And then I did that again when I came back full time. And a project I'm on now, I got staffed on because I reached out to that person and connected again with them and just continued to maintain that relationship. So I would say, especially when you're young, new to your career, it might seem a little bit intimidating to reach out to these more senior people. And like, you don't want to waste their time. You don't want to be a burden, but definitely reach out. People are very willing to help you. They're very willing to maintain that connection, and they want to help you learn. So that's what I would recommend, is just like not being shy about reaching out and leaning on people, especially at Mastercard. There's been so many people here that have really gone out of their way to support me. So yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you. And I'm so glad that those relationships have continued to be fruitful for you. And that's so important. Ivan, I would love to hear from you about, anything that you wish you had done differently when it comes to building your network during your internship. Is there anything that you would, if you could go back in time, maybe make a change? And then I'll ask a follow-up question after you're done with that one.
I think there's something that I would like double down and even like push myself to do better. And it comes from my second internship. My second internship, I had a chance to meet with Ed McLaughlin. He's our CTO in Mastercard. And he told me it's not who you know that matters, it's how people know you. And it was very insightful, like right away. And I have kept that with me for the past like 2 years. It's important to be known for something. And that's what I didn't realize during my first internship. And so like later on, I started asking myself, if someone like, is making a connection for me, is introducing me right now, what expertise would they mention about me? What would they talk about me? And I would definitely like find something that I'm good at, I'm passionate at, and double down on that during the internship as well, and let people know that, hey, Ivan is great at doing this, Ivan loves doing this, and that's how I want people to remember me and introduce me.
I love that note. That's such a really good thing to keep in mind. We talk a lot about personal branding here at Handshake, and part of personal branding is not just what you're posting online or, how you're, introducing yourself in an elevator pitch, but really building a sense of yourself so that your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, how they can put you forth for opportunities and advocate for you. And so I think that's a really great example of that. Thank you. And okay, I want to talk about the highs and the lows. Are there any mistakes that you noticed others make during your internship when it comes to networking, or things you observed maybe that were really killer and that you would think are great, smart things to do when it comes to networking during an internship?
I think the mistake, during my first internship, I kind of like make a mistake because there's so many people like at even just my department, and I want to meet all of them. They're senior level, they're executives, but then I forgot to network sideways with my interns to like build that fun relationship. And I learned this from my second internship. Was a lot better because we have a friend that interned with me, and he is great at like hosting events. Like every day he's setting something up for lunch, like or going out after work. Like the second intern group that I was in, we were very, very close. And we ended up doing projects together as well, and we feel like a team. we can argue with each other. We can like, point out what mistakes we're making straight to your face. And we were so productive during the second internship. And having those relationships, being able to, like not only networking up, but networking sideways with your peers is very important. I learned from him from like that second internship.
That's great. And I love that you had like one particular person that you could really learn from and it saw doing so many great things. That's such an important type of relationship to have during an internship. Stephanie, I want to round it out with you. What advice would you have for interns who are wanting to stay on an employer's radar in the long term, especially if they're still maybe underclassmen who have a while to go before they graduate? Potentially not in the position to be starting a full-time job right after they wrap up their internship.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Oftentimes, I get inquiries from freshmen. So while they're still early in their career, it's never too early to, make those types of meaningful connections. So whether it's participating in events like these or even on-campus events where you can meet folks and really expand your network and ensuring that you stay in touch. Oftentimes, I recall even in my previous role at a certain company, I had met this really standout freshman, and we had kept in touch all throughout, his sophomore year until an opportunity came about, and I had messaged and reached out, and we eventually hired him. So really, don't take for granted those types of meaningful connections that you can build, especially while it's still early. The other thing is just ensuring that you leverage alumni. If there is a particular alumni, group that you want to be part of, reach out, especially if they're in an industry that you're interested in. And then lastly, just a quick plug here at Mastercard, we have our talent community where you can sign up and also learn more opportunities, especially if it's a little bit too early for you. Oftentimes you can get communication tailored, especially if there's an area of interest that you're looking at to get into product management, technology, marketing. That's a really good one-stop shop to learn more opportunities.
Fabulous plug. And I will say, folks, that's in your chat a little bit further up. And we will share that link as well in our recording when we share that out. We'll make sure that you have access to that talent community. So thank you so much for sharing, Stephanie. Okay, we have just a little over 10 minutes for us to spend on Q&A, and we've gotten some really great questions. I know we have Christina from Mastercard who's been going in and answering some, but we have so many that have come in, it's hard to choose. But I want to spend a little bit of time here getting into what we're hearing from the audience. Let's start with one that I feel like is very, hopefully something that all of you have an answer for, which is what do you love most about your job? And Sierra, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah. What I love most about my job is that it's not too repetitive. I can do a lot of different things every day. As you mentioned earlier, I have experience in a lot of different industries. So I work with clients in the retail space, in the travel and hospitality space. I've worked with like companies that own schools. Like I've worked with a lot of different types of industries, which is just great in broadening my horizons, learning more. But B, it just keeps my day-to-day very interesting. I also just like coming into the office and working with people in person. That's a big part of what I do. And that's been really great, is just having those face-to-face interactions allows me to A, build relationships, and then B, just be happy. That's a big part of working, is just being happy. You produce the best work when you are happy. So yeah, I would say the breadth of work, but also just that in-person component has been really nice for me.
That's great. And I'll go in alphabetical order. Stephanie, will you chat through your favorite part of your job?
Yeah, I'm trying to shortlist it to one or two, but I would say every day is different. In campus, we wear many different hats. Aside from being a recruiter, we dabble in learning and development. We become an event planner or a mentor. So I would use the example of last week, we work in close partnership with our sponsorship team, and we have a partnership with Grammy U. So we got to attend cool events like that and really spread the word in terms of our priceless experiences. So again, no day is or every day is a different experience, which kind of is very impactful and very important to me.
I love that. And Ivan, well, let's round it out with you. What do you love most about your job?
Um, Solving problems, software engineers. I mean, for our team specifically, like if you have a banking app and you see that like where your transaction was made, all of those location details was provided by our group to those banks, and we solve those problems daily. It was super fun for me, and like there's always new things coming up now. Like we're leveraging AI, we're leveraging cloud, and more infrastructure change. It's just one day after another, one more problem to solve, and can make me happier.
I love it. Thank you. Solving problems is it's a great feeling to have every day when you're at work. Okay, Stephanie, I have one specifically for you, and I know you touched on this a little bit, but this person is asking, would it be appropriate to let my internship manager know I'm interested in a return offer during the intro meeting? And if so, how should I bring it up? Is that something that you should breach during the first meeting, or is it something you should save?
I would say in kind of best practice, probably a couple weeks into, right? So, kind of developing your personal brand. Like, what do you want to be known for? And then leveraging that as a conversation starter. I worked on this project. I really want to, I envision myself being here for next year, either upon graduation or perhaps they want to come back as an intern. So I would say give or take a couple weeks into your internship when you get your bearings and when you get acclimated into the internship experience.
Thank you for that. Ivan and Sierra, I have one for both of you, so feel free to take it, whoever wants to jump right in. But do you have any tips for how to balance putting yourself out there, raising your hand for opportunities, and asking to join projects that excite you, while also continuing to obviously be respectful to higher ups during your internship setting? You want to show that you're eager and willing to learn, but you also want to tread lightly. Do you have any advice there? Sierra, I know you raised your hand for an additional project while you were an intern.
Yeah, I think that can be tricky too, not only with your higher ups on your individual teams, but like the other people in your intern class. You don't want to look like you're trying to get ahead or anything. And I think it speaks to just coming from a place that's like very genuine and like looking for like more opportunities, I guess, but more so just like to help learn more about what actually you want to do down the line, right? Like the internship is your trial run. You're trying to see what is it that is the most interesting for me. Is there maybe this project I like more than others? Do I actually not like this? Right? Like that's also an okay outcome. So I think coming from a place of trying to figure out exactly what you want is something that can be really helpful, and just being very upfront with your teammates about that. Sharing why you want this opportunity. Maybe you're really interested in the retail space and you want to do a project in that space to see if this is something you'd want to specialize in down the line. Just being really intentional with what you're doing.
Ivan, anything you would add there? If not, I have a question specifically for you about
Sure.
software engineering. Okay.
I'll take that question.
Awesome. So it's kind of two questions of the same flavor. The first of which is, during our undergrad journey, as someone who wants to pursue software engineering outside of regular college courses, what should we be doing during our free time or as an intern to stand out as an engineer? Any projects that you would recommend? And then kind of the second question in the same vein is, as someone who's applying for software engineering roles, what's the most impactful thing that I can do during my summer as an intern to stand out when those full-time software engineering applications open?
I think first question, like what kind of project I can do, what kind of like side event I can do. Like one of the thing that helped me stand out, I think, is the hackathon that our university organized, partner with Mastercard, and a lot of other companies were there too, and they were there like to observe us already and give us this question and help us like guide us through the way to see if we're coachable, to see if we can like have the ability to bring this product live. And we were there having fun with friends, with like staying up for 2 nights in a row. But I think that's one of the main thing that for me during school year that helped me stand out. And also like I did build some products like one of the apps that we created with some friends is called Airy. And like those is put on resume for me as well. But mainly I think hackathon is where I met recruiters and met people that's from Mastercard, hiring managers, and also showed them that, hey, I'm capable of learning and I'm capable of acting fast.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's great. I think that it's kind of speaks to the same theme of demonstrating your ability to learn and connecting with recruiters and just showing your adaptability in a real world sense. So hackathons are a great option to participate in, to really put yourself out there. Thank you. We've gotten so many questions, y'all. I want to make sure we get to a couple more. I think I'm gonna take 2 questions and kind of put my own wrapper on it because we have somebody who's asking how to make the best of making a mistake during your internship program, especially emotionally. Is there any advice that you would give for keeping your confidence up and being vulnerable if you make a mistake or a blunder as an intern? And I'll open this up for anybody here.
Can I take this one real quick? Because
Yeah.
I made a pretty big mistake. They gave me in order to build the automation system, I have to have bot access to the testing tool that we have, and I broke the whole thing. It took them like 2 or 3 days to fix it, and everybody was on top of it. But I think, hey, in the end, I'm still here, so lucky me. But through that process, I feel very bad because like I made a big mistake. I impact other teams. I impact their capability. But how you own your mistake matters. Show them this already happened and what I can learn. I'm here. I'll be here 24/7 to learn how to fix this with you guys. And I want to know what mistakes I made, and I make sure that won't happen again. And I think that's like really important when you make a mistake, big or small.
I think that's so important. Sierra, Stephanie, do you have anything that you would want to add to the kind of theme of making mistakes as an intern?
Yeah, I think it's oftentimes we commend interns or any employee to be transparent when they make a mistake, but also coming up with a game plan on how to correct that mistake and to Ivan's point, to make sure that it doesn't happen again, but really coming up with solutions, aside from identifying the mistake that was done.
I was on mute. I'm so sorry. Sierra, I was asking if you had anything you wanted to add there. And I know we are almost at time.
Yeah, I can quickly add to just being on the other side of it now. I've worked with a number of interns and people have made mistakes for sure in that period of time. And I agree with the solution-oriented approach. Like that has been really great. And it also shows a lot of other strengths, right? Like, yes, you're making up for the mistake by offering solutions to help out the team, but you're also showing you can be creative, you can come up with these solutions. And it's okay. As an intern, you're allowed to make mistakes. So please don't go home and be really sad about it if you do make a mistake.
I did it again, y'all. I started talking while I was on mute. Thank you so much. I do feel like that's a really good note for us to end on. I cannot believe how fast this time has flown. I really appreciate you all sharing your wisdom and your energy with us here today. And thank you for everybody in the audience for taking the time during such a busy season, whether you're in finals or getting started in your internship or in a dead week where you're really focused on kind of wrapping up the school year strong. Really appreciate the time out of your day. I really want to highlight some of the themes that we heard here, which are learning and adapting and showing that you are willing to rise to the occasion, staying connected with your recruiters and taking advantage of the networking opportunities that you have as an intern. And with that in mind, I will also reiterate the Mastercard talent community, just to make sure that you all saw that, and we will include that link in our recap email. And Stephanie, is there anything you would want to wrap on just when it comes to recruitment timelines or anything like that when it comes to Mastercard?
Yeah, it's a really good call out. For opportunities in our North America region, our 2026 roles will be live August, September timeframe. So certainly take advantage of the summer, making sure that your resume is up to date. So when August, September comes, you'll be, ready to apply for our 2026 positions.
Beautiful. That August and September are going to come up really soon, I have to say. So thank you so much. And thank you, Ivan, Stephanie, Sierra, for being here today. Everybody, make sure you connect with Mastercard on Handshake so that you can get those career resources. You can get those internship opportunities when they go live in August and September, and you get reminders about all of the deadlines and recruitment timelines there. With that, thank you for sharing this beautiful Tuesday with us, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you.